This is So What Who Cares with Lora McCarville and Jeff Kolaski. Join us as we explore practical insights for an impractical mind.
What are our questions today?
All right, like Lora just alluded to, we're still on our series where we're taking callers, call-ins from our listeners, or questions and comments from our listeners, and giving some insight on those things. And we're on to yet another one. We got a really sweet email this week that we're going to address now. Are you ready?
I am.
Lora McCarville, are you ready?
I could not be more ready.
All right, let's prep ourselves. Red leather, yellow leather.
What's the other one you say?
Unique New York.
Unique New York. Unique New York.
New York. Unique New York. All right.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
When listening to your episodes, I often find myself thinking, how can I impart this wisdom on my children? How do I help my kids develop into emotionally mature adults? How can I support them so they don't have to struggle through the process of self-healing like we did? That's big.
Yeah.
So please start from infancy to adulthood and tell us how do you impart this wisdom on children?
I don't think I got this right, but I'm going to share something I used to say when my kids were little, which was, I'm doing my best and you'll probably need therapy, but I'm still doing my best. They were like really little.
Yeah.
I don't think that was probably the right things to be saying at that
Probably
time.
true,
But in my
though.
like most like stress states, you know, single momming, it was probably something I said. But the reality is we'll all need support.
Right.
There's no like, and the reason why we probably, this generation, is tapped into getting therapy more than our parents' generation is just historical.
Availability and
yeah, it's just the first time it's being known to do it like this, right? So, not that self-inquiry wasn't available, but really it wasn't part of the scene. So it was seen as like my parents' generation, if you're going to therapy,
you're crazy.
You're bad.
Right.
Right. So, and there wasn't. Wrong. Right. So that idea of like, it's just new. And so we have to be really gentle with the stage of life we're in. Like we look towards grandparents, we look towards our parents, and we go, okay, what about our kids? And how will they get out of this without therapy? They just won't. And then the culture we live in. So they're going to seek support. Don't take it personally that way. You know, I think that would be really important if they say, I need to go to therapy as adults. Great. But the first part.
What are you going to tell them about me?
Yeah. Right. I mean,
you're probably going to tell them that I blah, 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 blah.
Right. And there is some patterns I'm seeing that are like, whoa. But right. So the first part of the question was, how can I impart this onto my children? A lot of kids in schools are hearing mindfulness stuff. I mean, when I share the hand model of the brain and flipping the lid, a little kid, they'll say like, that's the amygdala. I mean, they're learning a lot of mindfulness.
Yeah.
But the same thing when I train teachers on how to teach mindfulness is that you have to be practicing it. You have to be embodying it. So we don't teach them by saying like, take a deep breath, you know?
God damn it, breathe in.
Right? Like you impart it because it's now the culture of your home and how you work with yourself. Then they see that and they start to learn that and they behave in a way that it's not like, you know, here's the knowledge. It's in the air you breathe because this is how we behave.
It's not the same as teaching them how to bake or how to play baseball or something. Like I'm not just gonna.
I mean, there's skills to get in both those things, but you learn a lot. It kind of is like baking or cook. Like if you grow up in a home where we're always cooking.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like then you know, like, oh yeah, I just naturally, like I somehow knew how to make gravy. How would I know that? I don't ever remember my mom or dad being like, this is how you do it. But when I was very young, I could make gravy.
Mhm.
Speaking of holidays tomorrow,
Mhm.
so then you get a little bit more skills,
Mhm.
and so one, that is typically what we learn something in the way of like personal growth, and we're like, oh, I want to give that to my kid so that they don't have to suffer.
Mhm.
And yeah, that speaks to how what a great parent you are,
Right.
right? And so then we go, okay, they will be soft with it.
Right.
Learn what you're
Yeah,
learning,
don't take it.
practice it, let them
Yeah.
watch you respond differently than you've responded before.
Mhm.
Um,
And try not to take it so personally when they do struggle. Like, that's not your fault, and even if it
I mean,
is
it can
direct.
be,
Right,
but right.
right, but even if it is directly tied to you, that's, you know, they they're going to struggle. People
Yeah, and
as a whole.
struggle's different than like suffering all the time with
Oh,
like
yeah,
chronic
for sure.
anxiety
Yeah.
but we'll respond to our kids if there's a bit of struggle
Uh-huh.
in a panicky way of
Yeah.
like, oh, now they're really suffering, and then we want that to go away because of how it makes us feel. I
Mhm.
get that. And that's part of parenting of like, is this something I intervene on, or is this something I support them to navigate and then have skill to deal with emotion?
Mhm.
Right. So sometimes we intervene too soon, or we don't give the tools for them to like
Mm.
develop the skills, which kind of goes into that second question of like, develop the skills to become a mature adult. Is that what it
Right.
says?
Yeah. You have a good memory with this. I only read it once.
I don't know. I just remembered that part
Yeah,
because,
how do I help my kids develop into emotionally mature adults?
I mean, hopefully you get to live long enough to see that happen because
Right.
I don't think developmentally we really hit that sweet spot until like we're in our
Mm.
40s. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
I hope you get there. Like, I hope our
Mhm.
mature adult mind
Yeah.
comes online, but that doesn't happen for a long time. And so, how we support our kids becoming adults, like, that takes time. I honestly thought, like, when my kids were little, like 18, like,
Mhm.
I thought that was it. I don't know why I thought that, but I just thought, like, when they're 18, then I'm, like, done raising them,
Yeah.
and it just isn't like
No,
that.
it's not. We're in the
It's forever.
stage right now where we're very much coming to terms with that.
Yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
what a funny thing to think, and
Mhm.
that's
Why
the
would you
good
think that?
news, and it's the good news. Well,
Yeah.
probably because our generation comes from a lot of belief of you're 18 and you're out of the
Yeah.
house.
Run.
Get out of the house.
Right.
Yay, freedom. And
Yeah.
also, this idea of like, go make it on your own.
Mhm.
And that's just developmentally, kids' brains aren't mature enough to be doing that. And
No.
that, again, comes back to culture, plays a big part in that. So, how do we help them become mature adults? By modeling mature adult
Mm.
behavior is typically how that goes. By I think there's a big thing I'm seeing now with myself of like Jordan being 20 of like, okay, so where do I want to still treat him like a child?
Mhm.
Because it makes me feel useful and good to like do things. Where is it enabling? Where is it that
Right.
I need to teach the skills? Like that's so much more complex than when they're like 4 or
Mhm.
6,
Oh, big time.
because that's so that feels so clear,
Right.
but this
That's it.
feels less
That's
clear.
more almost instinctual, you know.
Hmm.
I'm the mom or I'm the dad, and I know exactly what this
Yeah,
child needs right
kindergarten
now.
ready. Like
Right.
there's certain
Yeah.
academic you're thinking,
Yep.
certain skill. You gotta be potty trained by 8. Like there's some
Mhm.
stories around.
Right.
So how do we help them become mature? I also think like the more tuned in and articulate we are with our own experiences
Mhm.
of like, wow, I really struggled with, these emotions when I was at this age of like leaving home, and I experienced some of this. So if you're, like making yourself like real to them at that age,
Mm.
like
Yeah.
yeah, that normalizing some experiences and teaching them, you're 20 now, so you're going to have to sort of have a different response than you did when you were 16. So how would 20-year-old you do this differently than 16-year-old you? Right?
Mhm.
Like we teach them these things. And this is why the importance of community is just so huge, because at a certain time, and it would be great if it was like built in, but we start to see like lean into your friends, lean into other your teachers, work with, like we want aunts and uncles, and like more communal
Mhm.
living means like they have more spaces to go to check in on
Right.
what mature adulting looks like.
Right. It's so it's so hard though, not to just rebut that. So hard to find other people that you trust as mature adults to be that example to your kids.
Well, don't we get stuck? I mean, I really struggled with not getting some things right around like perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and not mature, perfect. They have to be perfect. They can't upset them. They can't say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember only one time did my kids go to stay with my dad by themselves, and my son came back and he said, "Grandpa didn't say please or thank you one time." And I was like,
I'm
"Well,
calling him right now.
I know. Well, I'm never going there again.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to grow up." Like you
Yep.
get like
Mhm.
all of your stories then
Defenses.
get projected onto
Mhm.
like this idea of I gotta protect the child from
Mhm.
like, yeah, you were putting up fence when you were 6. Like, yeah, this is grandpa. He gets real, like
Mhm.
it's just and if I were to say to him, and recently I did, I was like, another way you could say that, Dad, is thank you. And he's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
working on that. um,
Yeah.
but we get like this idea of like the people around them have to be absolutely perfect and not upset them and not do. And now again, this is way easier for me at my age, not having little kids,
Yeah.
but
Of course.
even like influence,
Mhm.
like a little lighter with some of that little do you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
For sure.
Yeah.
I think, one thing that my therapist and I have talked about is the I'm not going to word this nearly as well, but basically how much and how long are you willing to parent? I'm trying to remember the
Yeah.
right way to say this, but basically the idea is, at what level are you going to continue being a parent to your kids as they grow older? Like what amount of support, I should say.
Mm.
Like you're not going to treat an adult kid the same way you would treat a small kid. Like you mentioned, like there's certain things like, well, I don't always have to go get you your drink out of the, whatever,
Mhm.
because you are an adult. You can do that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And even as an older kid, maybe they still live at home and things. So you're still, financially supporting them and all that. But like, how long are you going to continue those things? Like, what's,
And is that I mean, I'm not what I'm wondering is like, is that a very white America culture question to be asking? And because if we look to other cultures,
Mhm.
we have generational living. If we
Mhm.
look toward like in other countries, it's a lot of generational
Right.
living. And then if we look at like how much rent, like this is a tricky
Yeah,
time.
for
That's
sure.
a so the question becomes
I
like
think
it's
that,
so important to consider,
yeah, and I think it was a longer conversation that he and I were
Of
having,
course.
of course, and it wasn't so much you shouldn't be doing this. It
Hmm.
was just, at what point this
Like,
fits
what's the
this.
plan, Jeff?
Well, kind of, but
Like
like,
there I get it because I'm asking myself too.
right,
Like,
yeah, and like, okay, maybe I'll just clarify a little bit, just so I know that I'm coming across the right way. If you're talking about potentially like changing your life now as two adults, myself and my wife,
hmm
changing your life in a way, like maybe we moving, are we buying a new house, are we,
mm.
so what level of support are you wanting to give your children now that they're adults, and for how long? What I mean is, if we move out of state, are we buying a 4-bedroom house to make sure that the girls still have a place to stay? If we, if we move into a new, you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. These questions are so interesting because there is that thing of like wanting to raise our kids in a way of like, you've got this.
Hmm.
And what does Jung say? The greatest burden on a child is a parent's unlived life. So,
Yeah.
like, there's some burden there too.
Right.
At the same time, man, it's really nice to come home to your parents' house, no matter what your age, and have a comfortable bed. Maybe
Right.
not your own room, but,
Right.
a
Yeah.
solid, a good bed is always nice.
Right.
So it's curious to be like, or I think really is like the financial time, like how are we weaning in these
Right.
years without with when our kids are prepared, and that's going to be different and
Hmm.
that varies kid to kid.
Absolutely.
It just
Yeah.
can't be
How often are you throwing all of your money, all of your energy, all of your, and is that getting to a point where it's not so much support, but it's
enabling.
enabling and holding them up when they haven't had a chance to, do or experience or
Hmm.
see? You mentioned that early on in this episode, like, I don't remember how you worded it, but like, they're going to have to go through some of that stuff. You can't protect them from all of that. And
Hmm.
if you're trying to protect them so hard that it's going to leave them emotionally and immature for a lot longer than they
Yeah, you're not
maybe
doing the service
you're not
of
doing them any justice keeping everything from them. And
or doing everything for them,
right.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and I know there's maybe even people listening here, when you get into child rearing, there's going to be a lot of different opinions on what
oh
the
my
right way,
gosh.
how the right way to discipline, how the right way to, to make them, resilient versus,
Mm,
empathetic versus, so there's going to be the gamut
yeah.
of, and everyone's going to have their opinions on
I mean,
that.
there's some clear-cut science, like,
Yeah.
around abuse and violence and
Hmm.
stuff. But okay, so speaking to that, I remember when I was just a new mom and with Mila, and someone had said like this thing happens where you're doing something and then you're in a mom's group and they're doing something different, and the story of, well, if you're doing it different, then I'm doing it wrong and I don't want to be wrong, so you're wrong happens.
Mm.
So if I'm breastfeeding and you're not breastfeeding, then one of us has to be right.
Hmm.
And then this becomes this like, and the brain does this of like tribes of like, only those can do it like
Hmm.
this, and we
Yep.
don't really have nuance in our child rearing,
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
that.
It's all
So,
or nothing kind of like we're
yeah,
either doing this
yeah,
the same way because I don't want to be wrong if my kid struggles with A, B, and C
yeah.
and yours are fine. Then I go, well, I was wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I
There's
don't know. It's
fear.
just like it just happens so quickly. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's even conscious, but so yes, how do we raise mature adults? I don't know.
Hmm.
Like really, I think become one.
Yeah. Lead
Like
by
that's
example.
like it really all like, I get referred to kids and I love working with kids so much, but 99.9% of the time it's not a kid problem.
Right.
It's a parent problem.
Yep.
And that's not an insult on parents, but
No.
it's easier to bring the kid in and be like, do something with this because,
Hmm.
and it's so much easier to do something with the adult. And when
Right.
the adult starts to become more regulated, more mature, more able to be with their stuff, then
Hmm.
the kid stuff it
Right.
goes away.
It's the classic trope of a parent saying to their kid, "Do what I say, not what I do." Well, Dad,
Yeah,
you
but
said
on
I
this,
can't,
but
but
like,
like that's such bullshit.
I know,
Like,
I know I think the question had a lot of sweetness of like,
for
I
sure.
just don't want my kids to suffer.
Yeah.
How can I impart this?
Well, you can sit them down in front of a radio that looks just like this one and turn on So What, Who Cares, and just put it on repeat and let them listen. And
And they'll still suffer. There's just
no,
like no cure to the human experience.
I disagree. Our podcast
You keep
is the
drinking your
cure.
you keep drinking your sparkling water. But no, it's
Yeah.
a great questions.
Yeah.
What was that? There's another
Yep.
part of that.
I already put my thing over here. Hold on.
How do you raise mature adults become a mature adult?
How can I support them? so they don't have to struggle through the process of self-healing like we
Mm,
did.
yeah. Theirs would be
Struggle
different.
through the process, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I mean,
I think,
everyone's gonna have to do self-healing.
and I have a friend who says like self-healing work should be empowerment work. Like if you're in if you're in like your self-healing and it's just like, and there's got to be effort and sometimes
Mhm.
even more effort, and it can be
You gotta
grueling,
put
and
in the
you got to put
work.
in the work.
Ugh.
But there has to also be a sense of like more joy access, more you
Mhm,
access, more life access. And if we sort of switch how we're looking at our healing work, like, I hope my kids get to experience this
mhm,
kind of healing work. I hope they get to turn on the light to who they are and
mhm,
the messages they misinterpreted along the way, or experiences that they had that were traumatic along the way, that they get to see who they really are.
mhm.
Um,
'Cause that's where the good stuff comes in, because if you're if you're raised and I mean, I think about if I never challenged and learned and healed and, my way of thinking and all that, and I was still convinced that the person that I was when I was 15 is who I am now, like, that's not growth. I mean, healing equals growth in a lot of ways, right?
I mean, I hope, yeah,
Yeah,
that is it.
yeah,
Yeah. And right. So that we go back to that. Now we're kind of running in circles, but we go back to that
yeah.
maturing adult thing.
Mhm,
That's probably what I see the most,
mm,
is a sense of like our child beliefs are still, child stories, child identities
mm,
are still driving the bus in parenting, in relationship with parent, in relationship with the process of coming into peace with the human experience,
mhm,
And so some things, it's almost like arrested development. Like,
mhm,
you do have to mature. But again, I don't think that happens. I think it happens like in your late 30s.
mhm,
Like, I don't think it happens before. I think you have to go through other processes. What your 20s
right,
are for are different. In your 30s, you don't arrive into your 20s with the maturation of 40s. And I can't imagine how amazing it will be
right,
to sit with the wisdom of being 100.
right. And the crazy part about all that is the majority of, I'm just speaking for America, I don't know
Hmm.
the rest of the world, but most people are again, let me not misquote any statistics here, but a lot of our culture has kids long before they themselves are at that point.
Oh my
Late
gosh.
30s would be late for people to
Yeah.
start having kids,
Right.
right? In the, not that it's impossible
Right.
or
So
anything,
you're in
but
your 20s
right, or
and
before.
right, doing your best to like
Hmm. In the
be.
most formative years of your child's life,
I know, and you're still working with like that
a child's
connection.
mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then
So offer the process the whole process
yes,
some grace.
that's exactly where I was going. Have some compassion for yourself when you say, well, my kid's struggling with this and it's because I raised them whatever.
Mm.
Well,
Yes, and
gently, yes, that's true.
hmm
And remember that you yourself were or are still a kid, and you
hmm
did the best that you could. Yeah, they're going to have to do some stuff, and like you said before at this in this show, at some point it becomes the parent is off the hook. you
I
know
know. I mean, and I get where that doesn't sit with people
yeah.
who experienced
Mhm.
abuse and such, but the desire to be parented by the parent who
Mhm.
isn't capable of parenting.
Right.
That's what I mean by they're off the hook. Like
Yep.
the thing you're looking for,
Yeah.
do that for
You have
yourself.
to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh, it's just so much more freeing.
Mhm.
And that's, for our kids. I mean, I hope like that's such a gift, is like they're not responsible for me, to
Mhm.
me, for my happiness, for my fulfillment,
Mm-mm.
for my joy. They bring me all those things. I'm so happy to be home with them right
Yeah.
now. But it's, it is this thing of like, do your own work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if by writing in, I'm thinking likely you are.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we'll still miss things.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
your kids will need therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, we just don't want our kids to suffer though.
Yeah, that's the
Then you just
thing.
have to sit on your hands and
Yeah.
watch it happen
Yeah.
in some ways.
Yeah. And in a lot of this, when I'm thinking about what you and I are talking about and answering this email, my brain is not going to the extreme like
Thanks for
abuse.
saying that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Like that's very different. I think, because what you're dealing with, what you've dealt with, what your kids may have dealt with. I mean, I don't think I'm talking about, the child parent, or the parent who's doing their best, and is and there's still going to be struggles.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
part of the
just like
human
more of the
condition.
general human
Yeah. Yeah.
experience
It's
than the extremes. Thanks
right.
for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that adds
Yeah, that's not
a
what we're
whole new
talking about.
ingredient to the yummy Thanksgiving recipe,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
That sours the
Ram Dass says
dressing.
this. Ram Dass says, "You think you're enlightened? Go spend a week with your family."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's pretty good.
it is good. So have fun tomorrow.
I will.
I will too.
I will. Okay, so what
Mm.
for this person, if
Yes.
they're listening, which I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
they are,
Mm-hmm.
let's give them the sound bite. What narrow it down to
Mm.
something. If you only had 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute with this person to answer this, what's the takeaway from this?
Model the relational skills that you are getting
Mm-hmm.
with your children. Practice compassion for the things you missed when they were younger.
Compassion on yourself
Yeah, and for them.
and them.
And them. Like, miss that.
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to say you're sorry.
I was about to ask you that. What
Mm.
what power does the apology as an adult parent to any child, but to adult child, what power does that hold?
Well, that's like a whole nother thing,
Yeah, it
doesn't it?
is.
I love in the moment do-overs in the
Mm-hmm.
form of apology. Like, ooh, wait, I wanted to say that differently.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try that again.
Real time catching
Like
yourself,
really
and
real
yeah.
time catching yourself. But if you don't catch it in the real time, then the sorry isn't just like, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
you made me do this.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry also includes like, is there anything I could do different? It includes
Mm-hmm.
like, what else do you need? I'm
Right.
apologizing. Do you need anything else from me?
Mm-hmm.
And and really speaking to the harm of the action,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry isn't the only. It's like I'm sorry, and then there's other parts of
Yeah.
that, which I think
I
would be a
wanted.
great podcast on its own.
I
I
think
think
so
it's
too.
so beautiful to know how to apologize.
I was just about to say I want to revisit the apology
Hmm.
and what that does to us and what it
Hmm.
can do, and the harm it can have at the same time that it can
Hmm.
heal. I think that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But I do like that,
Yeah.
because it's so misused often.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a sorry should just fix it.
I know.
Ugh.
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 But let's go back to our
Yeah.
friend who wrote in.
Okay.
So the other piece I really want to say is, because it sounds like this person has younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give yourself like, let there be time, like
Mm.
soft with time. And I say that because there's a sense of urgency. Like, I only have this amount of time when they're little.
Yeah.
And so there's like, I need to hurry up and figure this out so they don't have to suffer. Like, be soft with time
Right.
because it doesn't end. It doesn't stop. Like, you'll get to keep growing skill, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
keep modeling maturation, and you keep connecting in new and different ways. and the relationship will keep evolving until you're both adults, and it's not an adult-child relationship, it's an adult-adult relationship. And that is kind of new on the forefront too in our culture.
Yeah, and I can say that some of the most meaningful conversation and growth that I've had in my relationship with my parents, my mother specifically, has been in adult conversations and the things we talk about now.
That's good. I think that's good. I think that wraps it up.
Okay.
Oh, I guess we could speak to, like, if you are seeking, like,
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness. There are so many things for teens and for kids around mindfulness, and mindfulness for athletes, and
Mm-hmm.
using meditation and mind training um, for kids. There's just so much stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where would you suggest to look for some of that?
Meditations. There's like maybe, I don't know, so many free meditations on Insight Timer for kids.
Okay.
I would say that you could Holistic Life Foundation out of Baltimore, they did all of the work of meditation and mindfulness for kids instead of detention. In schools, mindful schools, I think some of that's kind of shifted.
Yeah. There's this might be a good time for us to bring up that we actually have some meditations available, and we will be continuing to add more throughout the existence of this show. And some of them are only available to people who are sponsors of our show through our brand new, well, at the time of this recording, our brand new Patreon. We are putting ourselves out there in the world of being supported by others, and hopefully to give a little bit extra, we will be having some things like behind the scenes, which is always fun, but also some kind of some meditations that will be available through that platform. We also will be putting meditations into our normal free platform, and all of our episodes will still be on wherever you're getting this. And also there will be some added features there. So even if you don't want to, or you don't care about that bonus stuff and you want to support us, you can do that on our Patreon.
Thanks for setting that up. I'm really excited about it.
Too.
I think people want to support, and I know that they're excited about what's being put out there, and the production and the effort is good to be supported. So thank you.
Yep.